record. Hi, I'm Lauren.
And I'm Oliver.
And you're listening to Optimism of the Will, the queerest, most transgendering podcast on the left. Oliver, do you have your 10 seconds for us today?
You know what's funny? You asked me that earlier, and I actually didn't prepare between that time and now.
Yeah, this is our second take.
Okay, so the 10 seconds is really just like what's going on with me and or what we might be talking about today.
You know what? Just say whatever you want. It's fine.
Okay, sure. So, what I've been doing lately, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but while I'm between jobs, I've been modeling, like live modeling nude at art studios. So far, I'm only working with one studio, and it's something I don't do very often. But I genuinely just really like doing it. And sometimes lately I'll be like, I don't know, I'll walk past the mirror and be like, hey, the way I'm standing right now, kind of cool. I think I got to remember that for later.
That is the boss. I love that for you.
Thank you.
Okay, last episode I said I would do vocal warm-ups before starting, and I totally forgot.
Is that what you do for a warm-up? You kind of like massage your face and just make loud noises?
Yeah, I'm just making this up as I go along. There's actually sounds you're supposed to make. I think it's like wee.
This just sounds like a SpongeBob reference, I think.
Everything's a SpongeBob reference. Okay. Okay, so for our audience, Oliver and I were originally supposed to do an episode on things we like about being trans. And I was supposed to prepare show notes and research for today. And then I didn't get around to doing that. I didn't get around to doing that because I haven't been sleeping well. I've not been sleeping well at all. I've been very nocturnal. And then the rest I do get hasn't been very restful. I've been very disorganized, very ADHD, which you would know if you listened to our previous episode on disability. So we're just gonna chill out. We're gonna have a chill episode. Oliver, what should we call our chill episodes so that whenever we have one, the audience will know?
Damn. Oh, we could think of something like real silly. Should it be a trans pun?
A trans.
There's got to be. Snuggling with Blahaj. That's the chill episodes.
Snuggling. Will IKEA sue us for that?
I don't think so. I mean, doesn't it just mean blue shark?
Oh, really?
Like, how can they trademark that?
Okay. Yeah, I guess. Snuggling with Blahaj. Okay, we're doing a Snuggling with Blahaj episode where Oliver and I are just going to chill and talk for the next, 50 minutes or so.
Lauren, what are your hobbies?
I make podcasts. Not very well, apparently. Why? What are your hobbies?
You know, I do some cross stitching and embroidering, watercoloring. I really want to do a Steven Universe watercolor pretty soon. I've painted a lot of, not a lot, but a little bit of stuff from Moomins. And I don't know. Honestly, I'm just a little bit too obsessed with Moomins. I haven't watched every episode, but I'm gonna make that happen.
Hell yeah, you're so creative.
What are Wait, my other hobbies, Lauren? Thank you for calling me creative. I really like hiking. I like being outside. I like touching grass. And I want to get back into rock climbing again. I really want to.
You can climb?
Yes.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, one time I went on a trip to Arkansas. There's this place called Horseshoe Canyon Ranch. And, me and my friends drove probably about 4 hours or something to get there. And it was a place where, like, if you wanted to, I think you could, like, pay to ride their horses around in the fucking woods, which is great. But it also had, like, a lot of campsites. And so you could, like, camp, you wake up in the morning, you go on a little hike, and they have some really big cliffs that have, like, the hardware and the anchors drilled into the sides of them. And there's several different rock climbing routes that you could take, which, like, absolutely, it's high enough that you 100% need to have equipment. I had to sign, like, a waiver that I wouldn't sue them if I, like,
Oh my god.
got hurt or dead while I was climbing there. But yeah, that was, like, honestly probably one of the coolest things I've done, like, hobby-wise. I'd really like to go back and do it again. I have a lot of the equipment I need for climbing, but I don't have everything I need for climbing. It's kind of an expensive hobby, to be honest.
Every hobby is an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had that much upper body strength.
That's kind of like a misconception, I think, about climbing, actually. Really, like, it depends on what kind of climbing you're doing, of course, but I think climbing in general, you want to have, like, 3 points of contact. Usually your legs are you're going to be standing in some capacity. You're going to find footholds and you're going to be standing. And then your upper body, like, that's going to be a little bit more for, like, stabilizing more than pulling the weight of your entire body up. Yeah, but it does kind of depend on, like, what kind of climbing you're doing, like, where you're climbing. Because I've seen people who've climbed, like, the Devil's Tower, and that, I would imagine, would probably end up taking more, like, upper body, but I don't know.
So Oliver here has very well-rounded hobbies. He has some good outdoor hobbies, some good indoor hobbies, some intelligence hobbies. A very well-rounded character.
Thank you. It's good for my character development. That's why I got to do all this shit. Actually, that's one of my favorite things about being trans.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, you know what writers say about your characters. Like, if you really want to flesh them out, you got to make them go through some terrible shit. And I think I've gone through enough horrible shit just to make me, like, very interesting and charming. I think it's a good side effect. Anyway.
Development.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you either get the character development or you become, like, a sociopath. And I guess we came out on top in that scenario.
Hell yeah, we did.
I used to train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a lot. Was what I did.
Brazilian?
Yeah, so it's like most martial arts, they're like, it's like striking, and then you have striking martial arts, and then you have grappling martial arts. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a grappling martial art focused mostly on fighting on the ground, because a lot of fights end up on the ground. And I used to go like literally like twice a day, every day.
Wow.
Yeah, because, like, I got into it during a time in my life where this was pre-transition. I was super depressed, kind of in denial about my gender. Working a dead-end job, didn't really have any friends, so I would just go to jiu-jitsu class, and, it was good. It was good. I like that.
Was that, like, in your early 20s?
Kind of like mid to later 20s. I was like 25. And then the last time I went was like 27, maybe 28. Yeah, it is an expensive hobby, so I can't afford to go anywhere. And also, I'm trans now, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has like a pretty like mixed martial arts fan base, and those people tend to be conservative for some reason.
Oh shit. I wonder why.
I think it might have something to do about like dominating others.
Yeah,
but not in
maybe
like
so.
a sexy way, but like in like a mean way. Because you can
In
be
like
a fun leftist dom.
that's fair. Yes, that's true. But this is more like in the like insecure
Yeah.
fail son kind of dominance.
Well, okay, it's a good question because like when I got into Brazilian jiu-jitsu, like a big draw of it for me was like being able to like stand up for myself because I spent so much of my life being like bullied um or just like not standing up to people. So I think there's a certain draw of like, how can I say, masculine dominance, question mark. I'm having trouble putting remembering the word here. But like like a kind of machismo.
Just sort of like part of toxic masculinity a little bit.
I think so. I think that can certainly be part of the appeal. I thought the martial art itself was very peaceful and meditative and fun. And I went to a good school. I went to a good jiu-jitsu school. I remember actually my instructor. So he was a super cool guy, really chill, good teacher. But I was just looking up for like jiu-jitsu related stuff in my city for some reason. And then my instructor's name came up in a news article. And he had been gone for like a week and I just thought he was sick or something. He was in jail for violating his probation because he wasn't supposed to attend like martial arts events, and I guess he went to a fight or something. And I'm like, huh? What's all this about? So I'm digging up like old articles about my martial arts instructor, and he fucking killed a dude when he was like 18. He tortured a man over like a drug deal. I'm not making this up. This really happened. And I was like,
shit.
what the hell? Because I did not know this about my professor, my teacher. And I didn't know what to think. I was like, do I really want to go to jiu-jitsu with this guy? And you know what? I wasn't really a leftist back then, but I thought like, okay, he served his time. He hasn't like reoffended other than this stupid probation thing, which I don't think was even justified. And I don't think he's gonna hurt anyone else. And people make mistakes when they're young and they change. And, like from what I knew of my teacher, he was a changed man. And I thought, I'm not gonna hold that against him. So I let it go. But, we believe in second chances on the left.
Absolutely, we do.
Yeah, so I did that for a long time. I like to draw. I tried to get into art school, but I didn't have the grades for it. They didn't let me into art school like Hitler.
Oh no, Lauren.
Yeah. Yeah, I got rejected from art school. But I still draw sometimes. I find it hard because like my ADHD is pretty bad and my skill level kind of plateaued after a while. And it's like, you have to put work in to get better at it. And my brain's just not really set up for that. But yeah, I do that. I am a writer. I write sci-fi fantasy stuff.
Were you ever one of those like kids posting fanfics like every day?
No, I did write a Harry Potter fan fiction.
Oh my gosh, are you the author of You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. The
My Immortal.
My Immortal, yeah. No.
That's
No.
you.
I'm not. My fan fiction was about a self-insert. It wasn't even a self-insert. It was just literally me going to Hogwarts, and also I was the Blue Eyes White Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh!
How does that even work? Can you explain this?
Oh, I was the small one, like the cartoon one. Okay.
Was there like a baby Blue Eyes White Dragon in Yu-Gi-Oh?
That's what I was. In my I wrote this in like 6th grade. I thought it was great. My little sister found it in like the little notebook I wrote it in, and she laughed so hard at me.
Did it upset you at the time?
Yeah, it's funny in hindsight. Why, did you ever write a fan fiction?
You know, I don't think I ever have, actually.
Never? You seem like the type.
I was gonna say I probably seem like the type, but I never have.
Yeah.
You know, like I actually, a lot of the time whenever somebody says I'm creative, like you did earlier, sometimes I get kind of like frustrated and I'm like, I'm not creative because like I don't make things that are brand new, you know what I mean? Whenever I do cross stitch, I'm often doing like I'll find some pixel art from a game that I like, and then I look at that grid and I line it up and I make, you know, like I make a material object that otherwise wouldn't exist, but I didn't create it, you know what I mean? And the same whenever I'm doing watercolor, I'll find a screenshot from Moomin or Steven Universe or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I want this hung up in my house. So I sit down and I put the work in, but it's essentially like a copy made by hand. And like, yeah, it looks nice. It takes effort. And like, I'm not saying that the stuff that I make isn't nice, because it totally is. I like looking at this stuff that's hung up on my wall. But sometimes I feel like a fraud if somebody calls me creative.
Well, what's that block there? Like what? You know, I'm sure it's occurred to you at some point to make something wholly original. Like what? How come you haven't gotten around to it?
I don't know. I have in the past, but I think it's kind of like a perfectionism thing where I'm so goddamn insecure where I'm like, if I'm going to put all this effort in to like sit down and make something, I want it to be good. And if I make my own shit, it's going to suck.
I totally understand. Like my whole YouTube channel is just, it started off as like a ripoff of ContraPoints basically. So, but that's all of RedTube. We're all just here ripping off ContraPoints.
So fucking true.
What a queen. We stand.
It's kind of weird though, because whenever I print off some sheet music and I'm like, I'm gonna learn this song, I don't feel like a fraud. I don't feel like I'm not a real pianist. I'm just playing other people's songs. Like that doesn't occur to me. It only feels that way when I'm doing like, I guess, visual arts usually.
I think that makes sense because like you know how sometimes like like a pianist or like a violinist or something, they'll become like really famous off of like how they perform like a certain piece written by someone from like 600 years ago, like Yo-Yo Ma.
It's granted like a kind of validity that other kinds of crafts are not given, because really what you're doing is a craft. Like you're performing something that already exists. You're not making something that's new, but it's still treated with like, I don't know, like it's a vigorous art, because it is. It definitely is. I don't know. I guess that we kind of have like social ideas about whether or not something is creative, whether or not a certain kind of art is like real or valuable, you know?
It's so interesting.
Art. Yeah. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's like the gender binary of art.
When I paint my nails, is that art? Hell yeah, it is.
It's self-expression.
No question.
we should complain about AI art.
Hell yeah, we should. You know, embarrassingly, I'm one of those people who occasionally has a little bit of trouble identifying. You know what it is? Whenever it's like a photorealism, actually, I can't even say that. I was going to say, whenever it's a photorealistic AI produced image, I usually get it. But I definitely have straight up shared AI, and I get like so mad at myself. I'm really, really thankful whenever somebody points it out to me, and I'm like, oh, fuck that, and I delete it. But yeah.
It's getting better, that's for sure. I don't blame you.
Makes me feel like a boomer, though.
Well, yeah. If you know, it's not like, I don't know. It's not like what's something stupid boomers believe in?
God.
Yeah. If it's not like, here's photographic proof of God's miracles, and if you reposted that, I would be very concerned. It hasn't gotten that bad yet. Maybe we'll get worse for like our generation as the microplastics build up in our brain.
I don't think you'd be concerned. I think you would think that I was doing a bit.
I've done that bit. Yeah. Do you ever think about how like millennials are going to be like when we're like in old people homes?
Oh God. I don't know. I hope that we're saying like skibbity, but I guess that's the Zoomers. I'll be saying skibbity.
You'll be saying skibbity to make fun of the Zoomers.
Yeah. I remember when you guys used to watch Skibbity Toilet.
No, I think it'd be fun though. We'll have like Xbox LAN parties.
God, that would be so fucking cool. Like, do you think when we are in the nursing home, God damn it, I just fucked up my nail polish. It's fine. Do you think that we're gonna like have access to like retro consoles?
I think that'd be good for us. Because you know how like sometimes I read about like this village for people with like Alzheimer's, and like I think it was like Norway or something, and they rebuild it to look like older eras, so the old people don't get confused.
Yes, and that shit is so fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's what they'll have for us, and it will be great. We'll have like,
oh my gosh, so they're gonna like have a TV on in the background playing like Big Bang Theory.
Yeah,
kill myself, dude.
Yeah, it'll be fine, and we'll have like those Dragon Ball Z posters on the wall, and it'll be fine.
Okay. You know what? I could probably stand it.
My sister works as like a nurse in like a senior's home, and she usually doesn't get specific, but it sounds like they're not great places to be. So I hope that's fixed before we get old.
I've told you this before, but I'm like extremely fearful of one day being a trans person in a nursing home.
Absolutely.
I really hope that doesn't happen to me. I'm gonna tell a little story about some beef. And I think the person who is involved with this will probably know who they are. And, you know, like, I want to make it clear that, like, I'm not mad at you. It's frustrating.
You can change,
but,
like, details to make it more hidden.
Yeah. There is a person who I'm pretty good friends with. And I got to meet them IRL. And I met their partner. Their partner also worked at a facility like this. And, I'm pretty openly trans, and I guess I was like talking about being trans or something, as I often do, as I've been known to do. And this partner who works in one of those facilities starts telling me something like, oh, yeah, cool, trans people. I don't have a problem with trans people. I think they're great. But also, isn't it, man, it's so annoying at my job that, and also given she doesn't just work in a nursing home, she works specifically in hospice. So people who are on their deathbeds dying. And she complains to me about, it sure does make my life harder. It's obnoxious that people come in here and be mad at me that I don't know, that I call them the wrong name or wrong pronouns, and they get so angry with me. And I'm like, dude, come on, it's not my fault. And I'm just like, like I didn't have the guts to fucking say anything to her, but like these are trans people who are dying. Like they're in their final moments, and you don't think it should be on you to like properly accommodate the people that you're working with and like treat them with dignity and respect on their goddamn deathbeds? Like how, like I really did not want to hear about it, because I know like there's a significant chance that that's going to be me one day. And it's been on my mind for a really long time. A lot of trans people, like in not just in their final moments, but like after they've died, will have a dead name put on their tombstone. Like people, their family, if they have transphobic family, they'll like, trans women, their hair will be cut and then they'll get put in a suit. This is something that happens to people, and it's just like, I understand that like for a lot of cis people, they don't know the history, they don't know the shit that we go through, so they don't understand what they're saying or how harmful it can be, or like how personally upsetting it can be. But man, I was incredibly upset by that interaction.
Yeah, man, if someone did that to me, and then I would haunt them after I die. I'd haunt the crap out of them. In
God, I hope I can be
in like a Victorian wedding dress that I never had in life. It's just from the ghost clothes.
Oh, right. It comes from like the ghost boutique or some shit. Like whenever you're a ghost, you're issued like a spooky outfit.
Yes. You know what I'm reminded of? I was in a stand-up comedy class once, and I was there with an older gay man. He was probably like in his 60s or something, and he was telling me about like how when gay people go to get put into like these senior care homes, they're being put back into like a social environment with people more likely to be homophobic, because that's just how like that generation grew up. And he said a lot of the time, people who have been out for like decades at this point will go back to being in the closet because now they're in this new social situation. And I'd never thought about that before. And I was like, oh my God, that's awful.
God, it really terrifies me, because I worry, like, if I was physically incapacitated and in some kind of, like, assisted living facility, or if I was in hospice, like, would one of the workers there be assigned to take care of me, and maybe I'd be unconscious or unable to communicate? Would somebody go, oh, shit, this person has a vagina? Man, why would they? What horrible neglect that they let this woman grow so much facial hair. Like I'm gonna shave it for her, and then like slowly I just get like forcibly detransitioned when I'm like unable to fend for myself. And this is something that like has happened to people before, and it's an absolute nightmare. Part of me kind of hopes that, and I think a lot of people sometimes think this just because of like fear of living as a disabled person, which like, it makes sense to have that fear given how ableist our society is. But you'll hear a lot of young people say like, "Oh, I never want to get old. Like, I hope that I die in like a car accident or die in some kind of accident whenever I still have like my body the way it is and everything." And sometimes I'm like, "Damn, like I really can empathize with that, specifically because of like being a trans person and the kind of stuff that like medical facilities and other structures do to us. It's really scary."
Did I ever tell you about the boat? Okay. So Alzheimer's.
Yes, you did. Okay. I know what you're talking about. I'm pretty sure.
I'll tell the audience just in case we forgot to mention it. So Alzheimer's runs in, I'm pretty sure, both sides of my family. And I definitely do not want to go through that. So assuming I don't die in like the climate change wars or whatever, once I'm old enough, I'm gonna fly to like Thailand or something, somewhere in Southeast Asia or like Mexico even. I'm gonna rent a boat. I'm gonna sail it out into the middle of the ocean, and I'm gonna blow it up. And that's how I'm gonna go. It will be like a Viking funeral.
I don't think it's exactly like a Viking funeral, but I get the sentiment.
No, it will be. I think it will be valid in the eyes of Odin.
You think so?
Yeah, because I got blown up by explosive ordnance. How is that not worthy of Valhalla?
Okay, so hear me out. I've been really curious about the logistics of this. And I was wondering mostly like, what kind of explosives are you planning on using? Is it going to be kind of like a Looney Tunes situation where like the last thing you do is like wrap your hands around those like dowels, and like push down with your shoulders?
Why not?
Like Wile E. Coyote?
Yeah, whatever I can get my hands on. Maybe there's some company that specializes in the specific service.
You'll just tell them it's for like construction or something.
Yeah, I'm constructing my afterlife.
Yeah.
And then that's, I think our society is way too weird about death. I think we get like way too freaked out about it. Like if you like sometimes I lurk like the nursing subreddit and they'll be like, yeah, families won't want to give up on their old people even though their quality of life is like actually terrible. And like a lot of people who work as medical professionals will have do not resuscitate orders because they know how awful it is. But like, culturally, we just don't want to give up on a person because death is so scary. Shut the fuck up. Like, I have not existed for billions of years and it was fine. It was fine. And I'm not going to be worried for when I don't exist for the other billions of years.
I really like that way of looking at it. And it brings me a lot of like peace when I think of death in that way.
Yeah.
I do wonder, like what can we do? Like, if there were no ethical concerns with potentially ending people's lives earlier, when it doesn't make sense to, like, I wonder what that could look like if we have like some kind of ideal utopian society. What would that death, like a euthanasia for people look like, I wonder?
Well, in Canada, we have medically assisted suicide. It's like, I think it's literally like a pod you get into and they fill it with like nitrogen. Don't quote me on that. I may be remembering that wrong. But we have a system it's for people who are like medically sick. So not exactly the same, but I imagine in the future, that may change.
But as we discussed in our previous episode, there are like a lot of like really significant ethical issues with the MAID program. namely being, potentially in some cases, like a forced eugenics or a economically coerced eugenics process
It
or
is that.
project.
Yes, it is that.
Yeah, and if everyone's bills were paid, if everyone had access to all of the food, not just like adequate food, shelter, and medical care, which, like, in my opinion, I feel like that would have to necessarily exist in order for an assisted suicide to be like truly more reliably ethical. I don't know. So that would be step one for me. But what else would have to happen, in your opinion, if there's anything that, because it's not just like adequate food, it's also like quality of life. If you give disabled people, and now we're getting on the disabled thing like we were last time. I mean, it's always on my mind, but like the bare minimum to survive, that's not enough. We as socialists don't fight just for the bread, but for roses.
What's that from?
And for, man, is it? I actually don't remember.
Okay, it's cute. I'll get a tattoo of that.
Hell yeah! Like the socialist rose is really, I think, pretty popular tattoo to signify that you're a socialist. I lost my train of thought. I do have the weed gummy in me.
Yeah. Oliver is 13% weed by weight.
I'm pretty small, so like that might be
so
right.
The weed gummy accounts for a lot. Some old people I read, like the care homes cost so much, it's actually cheaper for them just to live on like an all-inclusive cruise. And I think that's pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah.
It's absurd.
Like literally like $4 or $5 a month. Probably more than that even.
It genuinely is bonkers, like how much neglect happens in those places.
Yeah, so the cruise ship sounds pretty all right by comparison.
Yeah, it might be.
I've never been on a cruise ship, have you?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
It sounds like kind of scary, actually. I've been on a boat in the ocean and not been able to see land one time, and it wasn't a cruise. I was just hanging out with my family. My uncle had a boat that could, like, it was a little bit of a bigger boat. Had like a tiny cramped little cabin that you could go into. I think it had a sink in there. It may have also had a microwave. But anyway, we brought camping supplies. And I was probably in middle school, I think, when this happened. And he was in Pensacola, Florida.
Wait, like a tent?
Yeah, we brought tents and we took the boat out to an island.
Oh, okay.
And
I just thought you were tenting on the boat. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
I was like, well, what's going on?
But yeah, there was like a couple minutes where I could not see any land, and I was like, man, I don't like this.
You don't like that?
No, it gave me the same kind of palpable fear that, like, I'm kind of afraid of outer space as a concept. But it's the same kind of beats as like the fear of space, where it's just like it's like the opposite of claustrophobia.
Yeah.
Where it's like I need to be standing on something. I need there to be things around me. I can't just be. I think if I was on a cruise, I would be like freaking out for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd be spooked.
Okay. No, I think I get what you mean. I think I would personally enjoy it. Like, once I was in Mexico and I was just on the beach This was literally
You were
the
in
first time.
Mexico?
Yeah, this was a while back. I was in Mexico for an aunt's wedding. So I was on the beach, like right on the Pacific Ocean or whatever. The Atlantic Ocean? I forget. One of the oceans. Water is very clear. It was very blue. It was like white sand beach. It was very beautiful. And I just waddled out into the water like a big duck. And I really felt like I was coming home to something. Like I was a fish in the past life or something. And it felt, I don't know, there's been so few times I felt that at peace in my life, and that was one of them. So I really like that a lot.
It just felt like that's where you were supposed to be.
Yeah. I am Vietnamese, and it's very cold. It's a very coastal country and similar kind of climate to Mexico. Canada is very, well, it's cold. In my part of Canada, it rains a lot. And we're not like exactly on the ocean. There's kind of like an inlet and like an island. And so we're kind of a little bit tucked away in my part of Canada. But I think if I had just like, all the money I could need, I think I would just live near the ocean. I think that's what I want. Do you have like an environment like that where you're like, wow, this is where I was meant to be? Like you mentioned hiking, right?
I like mountains.
Mountains can be very lovely. You would like maps a lot.
I don't get to see mountains unless I go west. Like probably like it's got to be like 1,000 miles or some shit, right?
Yeah.
I've been to the Smoky Mountains, like the Appalachian Mountains as well, and it's not very impressive. Not exactly mountain-like in all of its glory, in my opinion. Man, the Rockies are like really special, though. I remember the first time I got to see mountains, I was like 8 years old. My grandparents drove us to Wyoming. And we stayed in Colorado for a night.
Ooh.
When the sun was going down, like I was in the hotel and I remember the sun going down and the mountains actually looking purple. And I was like, holy shit. Like it was just like so mind blowing to me. And I think an emotion, probably my favorite emotion to feel is awe.
Yeah. Yes.
I love. That's my favorite. And I was thinking of that whenever you were talking about walking into the ocean.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, I can get that sensation pretty easily just from like just hiking, like hanging out in nature. And I don't know if I sent you a picture of whenever I was hiking today, but just like when the sun is coming through the leaves and the leaves are like overlapping, like you look at the leaves and just like how they cast shadows on each other. It's just like, oh my God. This is so perfect.
Yeah. Do you do mushrooms?
I've never done mushrooms before.
Bro, you got to do mushrooms. You will love being on mushrooms.
Really?
Oh, it's so good. It's like one of my favorite things in the world to be like just on mushrooms. And when you're out in nature, like the first time I did mushrooms, I walked through Stanley Park, which is like a big park out here in Vancouver. And it was so much fun. It was like everything like shimmers, and there's like you feel like just so connected to like nature and the world around you. And me and my friends, we found like a big cabbage that was just growing on the ground, and it was so huge, and it just struck us as like the funniest thing on earth. We were just sitting on the ground laughing at this big cabbage.
Was this like a wild cabbage, or was there like a community? What? Really?
Yeah, it was just out there, man. It was just chilling out.
I'm like starting to formulate headcanons for like why there was a wild cabbage. Like, was somebody like eating cabbage? No, because like if you were eating cabbage, it's not like there's seeds all over your fucking cabbage that you bought from the store. Like, how did they like have a seed packet of cabbage and they were taking a walk and they're like, hey, I'm gonna just throw these out here and see what happens. Like,
I don't know. It was by itself too. That was the weird thing. There was no other cabbages, just this one huge one.
it was growing, like it was in the ground.
Yeah, it was in the ground. It was beautiful. It was like seeing like a Bulbasaur or something.
Wow.
Yeah, so you gotta do mushrooms at some point. Are they illegal in your state? Will you go to prison?
No, it's very illegal. It's very, very illegal. But
yeah, don't do that. Mm-hmm.
Something kind of interesting is, and I don't know if this is a federal thing or a state thing, but apparently the mushrooms are illegal, but the spores are not illegal. And you can order the spores.
Yes.
And I'm like, that seems like a lot of work. I think I would accidentally grow some kind of like toilet mold and then eat it and then die.
That is a concern. I did look up mycology just, because they get kind of expensive to keep buying. So I was curious about growing my own. There's a whole like subculture and like community about it. And I think you might actually enjoy doing it. There's like how-to guides and stuff, but yeah, they can certainly be spoiled. I don't know if you can die from them. I'm not sure I've ever heard that before, but
probably give you a very upset tummy.
Maybe like regular shrimps have totally caused me to throw up before. So I guess moldy ones.
That's one of the things I'm really worried about. I'm really worried that if I did try mushrooms, then I'd be puking, and I would not have a good time if I was puking.
You wouldn't get high, though, is the thing.
Oh, okay.
Because you have
that makes sense.
It, yeah. You would just be gross and pukey, which is also not fun in and of itself.
Okay, so if you make tea, does that reliably make people less sick?
You know what? It hasn't for me. What I found worked the best was just they sell them in pills now. They grind it up and they put like some kind of mint in it or something. What am I thinking of? Ginger. Yeah, they combine it with ginger and they put it in a little capsule. And that has worked the best for me for not getting sick.
So you just take it like a pill?
Yep, just pop it. Oh, God, I love drugs, Oliver.
I was going to say, I didn't want to take you out of it, but whenever you were like, have you ever tried mushrooms? I was like, damn, this Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh, no.
Not expecting that.
Oh, God, I wish I was Joe Rogan. That guy has money.
How much money, though?
Spotify pays him about $200 million a year.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know. I don't think it was a year. I think it was like the contract they bought him over. But he's not poor by any means. And our podcast is better than Joe Rogan's podcast, quite frankly. I think, Oliver and I can discuss if I can beat up a gorilla at least as well as Joe Rogan can.
Is that something they've discussed?
Yeah. Joe Rogan's like, hey, guy I work with, I don't actually know the guy's name, guy I work with, pull up that photo of a gorilla. And then they'll pull up a photo of a gorilla and they'll discuss how strong the gorilla is. And that's men are really into this for some reason. I'm not sure why. I don't know if trans men are, but cis men definitely seem to appreciate this kind of thing.
I don't think I've really witnessed this as like a frequent conversation topic among trans men.
Have you never considered if you could beat up a gorilla before?
I've considered what would happen if I fell into like the cage at the zoo and I would fucking die. I'd get my head ripped off in like 3 seconds. I'd get pummeled.
Gorillas, they're peaceful though. They're herbivores. They'll like charge you or whatever, but it's like almost always a bluff. Like
Yeah, that's the case with like most animals in general. Like nobody wants to fight. Nobody actually wants to be in the situation. It's
A
very
polar bear
dangerous.
polar bears are murderous. They,
Oh
they
shit.
yeah, they are dangerous sociopaths. And tigers will actively seek revenge against people. It's actually pretty nuts. There was this tiger in India, and it had like a tooth infection or something, so it couldn't hunt its regular prey. So it began hunting people, and it killed like literally like hundreds of people or something. Like it was a lot of people, and they had to hunt it.
Where did the revenge come in?
Oh, right, yeah, that's a completely different story. So this guy. Oh god, I wonder if I can pull it up real quick because it was such a cool story. Because it was like this guy who, like, I think he shot at a tiger, and then the tiger followed him back to his cabin, but the hunter wasn't at his cabin, and the tiger actually waited at his cabin because he knew the guy was there and he would come back. Tiger seeks revenge.
Tigers are so scary.
They're big cats. Your cat would eat you if it could, Oliver, but it can't because it's small.
Yeah, I guess it brings me like a little bit of relief, a little bit of comfort sometimes to know that like if me and DJ unexpectedly died in our duplex, then our cats would have something to eat for a little while.
Aw. Okay, I found a thing. This is from NPR. At the center of the story is Vladimir Markov, a poacher who met a grisly end in the winter of 1997 after he shot and wounded a tiger and then stole part of the tiger's kill. Ooh, the injured tiger hunted Markov down in a way that appears to be chillingly premeditated. The tiger staked out Markov's cabin, systematically destroyed anything that had Markov's scent on it, and then waited by the front door. Oh, my phone just skipped out. Waited by the front door for Markov to come home. This wasn't an impulsive response, Valent says. I guess Valent's the guy in the article. The tiger was able to hold this idea for a period of time. The animal waited 12 to 48 hours before attacking. When Markov finally appeared, the tiger killed him, dragged him into the bush, and ate him.
Jesus Christ.
That is nuts. But you're right. Most animals would not do that.
Nature truly is scary.
My family dog would seek revenge. We had a little Shih Tzu, and he didn't like me, and he would poo on my bed to let me know.
Really? Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, he only did that to me.
What did you do to him?
Yeah, I don't know. He just didn't like me. It could have just been a vibes thing. Yeah, the vibes are off.
I think he was the fucking like homophobic dog, and he's like, I know what you are.
I know. Yeah. My what were we talking about?
I don't know anything. It's the Blahaj special.
Where did you get your Blahaj? I wanted to ask that.
So, whenever we first wanted to get one, we looked at the nearest IKEA and they didn't have it. So DJ looked at like what locations they were available. Mm-hmm. And she saw there was one in, I don't know, somewhere in Texas. And at the time, our friend Riley was living in Texas. And she was like, if I order this, will you pick it up for me? And she's like, yeah, well. So she fucking drove to IKEA. And then it was either the next time Riley came up to Missouri or the next time we went to Texas. Then we got the little Sharky.
Yeah, that's cute. How did that come up even as like a trans meme?
I really don't know.
Yeah.
Like the justification people say like, oh, it's got the colors, it's got the pink, blue, and white. And it's like, yeah, but a lot of things have that.
I don't know.
I really think it came from like the trans femme like anime pilled culture. I really think that's probably like the online group that was most associated with Blahaj in the beginning.
Or Sharks anime though. Also, it's Swedish.
No, but yeah, I think it's just not having anything to do with anime. I think it just, the cutesy cat girl side of trans femme culture. That's definitely like where it came from. But how they came up with it, how it became a real thing, I don't know.
You know, we can be unusual, us trans femmes, my people.
I wouldn't say unusual. I'd say innovative.
Yes, innovative. You're completely right. We're pioneers. we're pioneers. We're building log cabins, trapping furs, and Blahaj.
Cottagecore cat girls.
Cottagecore cat, trad wife cat girl. Oh, you're drinking from a water bottle. Okay. You don't have like a special water bottle. You just have like a water bottle from the store.
Yeah, I'm like one of those piece of shit motherfuckers who like I just buy so much plastic.
Yeah. Well, were you like out on a walk when you bought it, or did you just want to take a water bottle home?
No, I buy cases of water because I have ADHD, and honestly, like, can I be trusted to clean out a reusable water bottle? Absolutely not. I can't.
You're absolutely right. I have the exact same problem. I have a really cute like cat water bottle. There's a bunch of cats in it, but the water has been in there for like a very long time. I'm lucky water doesn't expire. Does water expire? Now I don't know.
I mean,
I've been drinking it. Is it safe?
I think bacteria can definitely like build up in there, so you got to be careful.
Oh no. I've been drinking it. Mm-hmm. You're right. I should clean up that water bottle.
It's kind of like a petri dish, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. A petri dish.
You know what I really want to rewatch? Land Before Time.
You didn't give me a chance to guess.
Okay. What were you gonna guess?
Oh, okay, hold on. Well, now that I know it's Land Before Time, rewatch. Okay. Well, I know Oliver is a millennial. Let's see, Trans Mask. It's from the South.
Damn, you call it the South?
Are you not from the South?
Nah, technically, Missourians would call it the Midwest.
I thought Ohio was the Midwest.
There's, let's see, Missouri, Iowa, probably Ohio,
I'm Canadian,
Illinois.
so I don't know this stuff. Okay, you're the Midwest.
Okay, fair. Okay. I can find a map, but there's a pretty cool like survey, I think, where they just asked people in the U.S. like, "Hey, you're from this state. What region of the U.S. do you think you're in?" And so, I don't know. I think like just seeing colloquially what different areas consider themselves really cool. But yeah, we're Midwest because we say "ope." Ope.
I don't know.
Wait, are you serious? Okay, OPE. Okay, that's whenever like if you're at the supermarket and you like almost run into a stranger, like you almost bump into each other, you go, "Ope, I'm so sorry."
In Canada, we say, "I'm just gonna squeeze by here." That's what.
Yes, we say that shit.
Oh,
too.
You say that too? Okay. Okay.
Do you say ope?
No, we don't say ope. I think that's weird.
Wow. That's crazy.
No, because, okay, the movie I was gonna say was either Shrek 2 or Fury Road.
Man, I fucking knew it was going to be Shrek. I knew Shrek was going to be on there.
I think it's overrated. That's my hot take for today.
Shrek in general?
Yeah, I think it's overrated.
Oh, they're going to kill you for that.
Yeah, I know they will. Hashtag canceled. Did you see Fury Road?
It is? I think I did. Like the Mad Max that came out in like probably 2015.
Yeah.
I saw that when I was in Florida with my ex.
That was such a good movie. I'm sorry you had to see it with your ex, though.
Yeah, super lame. Another movie I saw with my ex, total shame. I think was How to Train Your Dragon 2. I really love How to Train Your Dragon.
Those are good movies. I like those. They have a good soundtrack too.
Yeah, the guy who makes the music, he's called John Powell.
Yeah.
And I think one of my favorite songs from the soundtrack is Forbidden Friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody else who works on the music, you may or may not be familiar, is Jonesy. And so he's the singer in the Icelandic band Sigur, which I'm probably...
Oh, I know.
You're familiar. I think I've sent some of their music.
Their song before. Was in the trailer for Prince of Persia back a million years ago.
Shit, really? Oh no.
You know the song.
Okay, I wanna look that up because that's fascinating to me. Okay. But yeah, I definitely want to rewatch Land Before Time because I genuinely have not seen it since I was like 3 or 4 years old. Mm-hmm. I really don't know what happens in those movies. I know that the Triceratops was really mean, and that made me upset.
Her voice actor was murdered. Did you know that?
The Triceratops?
Yeah, her voice actor. She was a little girl, and her father killed her. I think he wiped out their entire family.
Holy shit. Well, damn.
No, not the Triceratops. What was the orange one?
Ducky?
Yeah, it was like a little girl. I haven't seen movies in like 2 decades, so you kind of cut me some slack here.
I'm gonna look it up so we can know. Judith Barcy is the voice actress. Mm-hmm. Looks like she only lived to be 10.
Yeah, that's probably
so. She was also in the movie All Dogs Go to Heaven.
I haven't seen that in a while either. Was that like a Christian movie?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think it was just one of those silly, like...
Yeah.
You know what? I've seen that movie several times, but it's also been a very long time, so I'm not sure if I could really tell you. But it does say her and her mother were killed in July 1988 in a double murder-suicide committed in their home by her father.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Well, Oliver, we've been talking for about an hour. Is there anything positive you want to end on?
Yeah, like, okay, that's not ending it on a high note at all.
No, it's not. It's really sad.
Yeah, we got to think of something dope, actually, I think.
Something dope.
To wrap up the Blahaj.
The Blahaj episode. Chilling with Blahaj.
You know, I do this shit where, like, I'm pretentious and I'm like, I want to pronounce the thing the way that it is pronounced in the language. I don't want to say it the way that, like, an American or like, Canadian would read it.
Mm-hmm.
And because a lot of the time, like, genuinely, it's, like, offensive and lazy. And it's like, why not put in the effort? Like, it's more interesting. But at the same time... the other side of that is, but I'm going to sound like an asshole if I like use this different pronunciation. Like, not only am I going to sound like a pretentious asshole, but I'm also a little bit worried that, you know, a lot of the time people just won't know what I'm talking about. They'll be like, I don't know what word you said. It causes communication problems.
Is there a language you've always wanted to learn but never got around to?
I've studied a bit of Japanese and Norwegian, but one that I haven't gotten around to, I'd be interested in Icelandic. But it's a little bit more difficult to find resources for that language in particular.
Iceland looks beautiful. I'd love to go there.
Yeah, definitely.
Reykjavik. I think they have
Reykjavik.
I think they have like hot springs there or something.
Probably. Did you used to watch the Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson?
Yeah, actually, that's what I based my early episodes of the Radio Free Cat Girl on.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
He's like special to me because when I was in my abusive relationship and I was very, very impoverished and didn't have, you know, much access to anything to help me feel better, he was on every night basically at the same time. And like, I didn't have cable, I had antennas. And an embarrassing thing about me is that my family says antennas, and I used to say antennas, and I didn't know it was weird for a really long time. So I've changed the way that I say it. I say antennas.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Craig Ferguson, whenever I was like in that situation, it really, you know, like he's just so silly. He was silly, and like he just didn't. It was kind of like the I'm cringe, but I'm free. That's the kind of vibe he had.
I think he's so hot.
Yeah?
Yeah. Do you get that?
He got like the dad look.
Yeah, I think that's sexy.
You're not wrong.
I like Jon Stewart too.
So is that your type, dads?
My type is how do I say, philosophical trans femmes on YouTube. But yeah,
there's a few of them on there.
Mia Mulder, just gorgeous.
Yo, she's extremely goddamn pretty.
She's very pretty.
Her glasses, like her style, you know, I always think about her glasses and they're like this emeraldy green, and I'm like, how did you even find those?
I hope we can get her on the podcast one day.
We got to do more like history.
Yes.
To make it happen.
Absolutely. And grow our audience. Oh, right. Okay. So for all our listeners, you can find Optimism on the Will on Twitter to follow us there. OPT of the Will. You can support us on patreon.com/Optimism of the Will. We also have a YouTube channel, and we are on Spotify.
We're on Spotify?
Yeah, we're on Spotify.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. Okay.
What about if I went on YouTube Music? Do you think it would show up?
It should.
I'm going to look at it.
You know, now that you mention it, I forgot to upload it as a podcast, and I uploaded it last time as a video. I'll remember to do that this time. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been Optimism of the Will with Lauren and Oliver. And Oliver, you have a catchphrase for us?
Keep swagging it.
Keep swagging it, and follow us on social media. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. And stop.